Good morning. My name is Julian Faulkner, and I'm legal counsel for Rainy River First Nations and the DeBungee family. Present at the table to my right is Chief Robin McGinnis. Beside him is Brad DeBungee, the brother of Stacy DeBungee. And to the right of Brad is former Chief Jim Leonard of Rainy River First Nations. To my left is Ogidjita Francis Kavanaugh, and to his left is Nan, Grand Chief Fiddler. Ogidjita Francis Kavanaugh, of course, is the Grand Chief of Grand Council Treaty 3. This morning is a bittersweet moment. It's bittersweet because it represents somewhat of a vindication to major concerns that the family and leadership had about the investigation into the death of Stacy DeBungee. On the other hand, it speaks to a reality that the value of an Indigenous life in the city of Thunder Bay is close to, and I say this with the greatest sadness, is close to zero. Each member of this table will speak to their feelings as a result of this OIPRD report that shockingly lays out each misstep and act of incompetence by the Thunder Bay Police. So I'll ask you to have regard to the screen that is showing three pictures throughout the press conference. The three pictures that it's showing is one, the northeast corner of Justice Avenue and Archibald by the courthouse, the Thunder Bay Courthouse. Justice is actually a one-way street, and in Thunder Bay, that's a reality. Secondly is a quote from the Thunder Bay Police Services Board that it's business as usual in Thunder Bay, as a chief was criminally charged as revelations about this investigation came to fruition. And finally, there is the cover of the current report. So without any further delay, I will ask now Chief Robin McGinnis of Rainy River First Nations to speak.
Thank you, Julian. Bonjour. I just want to make some brief comments on the OIRPD report and the death of Stacy DeBungee. I really want to thank Brad for being here. I know how hard it is for him. I can't imagine how it must be almost like reliving it, I think. Since Stacy DeBungee's death in 2015, we've been trying and challenge the authorities to work with us, and we were stonewalled pretty much at every turn. And after this report came out, we had worries that they didn't do their job correctly. After reading a report, it was clear that it was so much worse than that. Like, I'd like to talk to the deficiencies of the investigation, but after reading the report, there wasn't an investigation. And Stacy was my age, he was from my community, he was a human being, and his death, they didn't show him the respect in his death to even attempt to investigate what happened. And for his family, I think that violated the process of their grief, because all those questions, no closure, no help, and the people who are supposed to make you feel safe and to help you in those situations were turning their back and didn't do anything. Like, the report confirmed that Detective Harrison refused to meet the private investigator that we hired to try help and to help the police to do their job correctly. And it was just an outright refusal, like it was almost a dismissal. I don't know if it was too much time on his hands, or he didn't have the time to, or couldn't be bothered. But I mean, there's no process for a lead investigator to be assigned in the Thunder Bay Police Service. There's no oversight, no supervision. No one understands their responsibilities there. So what I'm here to do is to call, because of all these facts, I'm here to call for the resignation of Chief Levesque. And if he refuses to resign, I'm calling for the board to fire him. I don't know how in the wake of an inquest. There was an inquest, and the 7 Youth inquest, and 2 weeks later, this happens, and there's not even an investigation. It's like you're spitting in the face of the inquest itself. How can you let that happen when there's an inquest going on for 2 weeks? And to not even attempt to do an investigation because an Indigenous man is dead in the river. It boggles my mind. I just feel that the chief has to go for the first step, the chief has to go. Because it's top down. He's the one that is in control of his police force, or obviously isn't. He either isn't in control and is incompetent, or he refuses to change. And either way, he needs to go. Maybe.
Thank you, Chief. The brother of Stacy DeBungee, Brad DeBungee. The brother of Stacy.
Hello.
Go ahead, Brad. Seems my mic isn't working, so the brother of Stacy DeBungee is Brad DeBungee. Please go ahead, Brad.
Okay, my name is Brad DeBungee. Hello. Hello. Hello, my name is Brad DeBungee. I'd just like to say I wouldn't be here if things were different. And I might have to complain and make sure people are doing their job properly. I felt I was treated wrong just when I went to go for that little meeting with the detective, and he kind of brushed everything aside, and he really didn't mention anything to me. Like he tried to put everything under the carpet. And I tried to ask him questions about my brother, but I could see his body, and he tried to deny me the access to that. He said there had to be an autopsy done. And when I phoned the coroner about that, he said that was up to the police's investigation. So, but I found a little comfort when I read the report. Kind of put me at ease to find that my theory was legitimate. It hurts. To see the treatment of the family, because we got no closure to the way that he was brushed aside, like there was nothing really there for them to look at. Like they just, I'd like to say, in my language, Gishpin, Gishamaniki, Gongegu, Gaganabuch, Kiwichi, Kamagu, Kigikwak, Benaug, Kami Mashchigea, Kibatizia. I'm just asking for the higher power to take care of things, to make sure that these people who did wrong, that are taken care of, the people that did bad stuff, the higher spirit take care of those who mistreat others. Use your native language every day, no matter how much or little you know. Your ancestors will hear you. Kite buena. Yeah. Thank you, Miguch. Now.
Thank you, Brad. former chief, Jim Leonard, who was the chief of Rainy River and is a named complainant at the time of Stacy's death.
Good morning. When we first started this process, the family approached us and they felt that there was something wrong. And throughout this process and learning about it, the community and leadership also felt that there was something wrong. And the more we looked into it, the more our concerns, we questioned those concerns. With the release of this report, it just validates all those concerns we have. And as Chief McGinnis has stated, we knew things were bad, but we didn't think they were this bad. With every page, that 126 pages, it states that there's deficiency after deficiency after deficiency. Too numerous to mention here today. I'll speak to one particular section of it that I have some knowledge in. I was at one time a first responder. And the first thing you're taught as a first responder when there is a death is to secure the scene. And secure it until the coroner releases that scene. 3 weeks ago, there was a death in our community. And the scene was secured for 3 days until there was an autopsy. And this is just a normal death. So it's very, very baffling to why a sophisticated city like Thunder Bay and the police department didn't secure that scene until there was an autopsy conducted. Sure, they secured the scene for like 2 hours and they took the tape down and everybody went home before shift change. It states that in report, that they wanted to go home before shift change. Now it's baffling to understand, to understand why this happened. And the only thing I can think about is that there was no policies. The chief of police should have directed that this death, you treat deaths with suspicion until you're, other words, it's obvious in this case that somebody made the assumption that it's just another drunk Indian rolling in the river. And that's the way the whole investigation was conducted from day one until today. It's business as usual. So, I support Chief McGinnis's comment is that the chief of police has to go. And if he doesn't resign, then it's up to the board to remove him. And if the board's not capable of doing that or willing to do that, then Senator Sinclair, because he's doing the investigation into the board, then he has to make some comments on that. So I'm asking, for this process to begin. Because this cannot continue. Last week, we heard about some eggs being thrown, and it was a big joke in the paper. So obviously nothing has changed at the police. So until that is, we're gonna keep fighting until there's real change. And I would hope at the end of this that we as a community get together and solve these problems. But we can't solve them under the current atmosphere. Miigwech.
Miigwech, former Chief Leonard. Grand Council Treaty 3 is the political territorial organization, the government of which Rainy River First Nations is a member. Ogidjita, Grand Chief Kavanaugh.
Morning, everyone. When I first heard of this, my first thought was, Why am I not surprised? Our communities continue to be treated like they don't matter, like our people don't matter. This report brings those things to light that we suffer through during every interaction with the police, that we just don't matter enough for them to care. I might want to add, I have a member of my area, Grand Council Treaty Number 3, who was brutalized by police in Thunder Bay. Grand Council Treaty Number 3 will continue to support its communities in their efforts to achieve accountability and ensure respect for its members. We support Rainy River First Nations in its tireless work in getting justice for our people and ensuring that this doesn't happen again. The report proves that indigenous people must stand up. We must be heard against the realities of systemic racism in this country's policing throughout Canada. We all have a responsibility to advocate for real change. We must also be willing to join those non-Indigenous leaders who stand with us, those who are prepared to partner with us in real change. Unfortunately, what we are seeing in Thunder Bay is a resistance to any kind of real change to ensure that our people are respected. That is very, very sad. And I want to add, at this point in time, the trailer hitch, the eggs loaded by former Chief Leonard, in 2002, August that year, I brought my young daughter here for college. Her apartment was not ready when we arrived, so we put her up in a hotel. Her and along with another girl from my community. They went outside for a smoke. A car drove by full of young white boys. The car turned around and they tossed full cans of soft drinks at them, barely missing them. I point that out, that the incidents of the trailer hitch, the eggs, those are not isolated incidents. It's a reality that Thunder Bay is a racist town. We will not stop here. We will do whatever it takes to ensure our people are respected. UH.
Nishnawbe Aski Nation Grand Chief Alvin Fiddler.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you all for being here. I'm here on behalf of the Nishnawbe Aski Nation to support the family and the community's call for the resignation of Chief Levesque. And here's why. You know, the glaring mistakes that were made, the racist assumptions that were made right from the beginning, right from day one. 3 hours after the body was found in the river, the Thunder Bay Police issued a press release saying that this was a non-criminal case. 3 hours. They did not even know who the man was. They did not even know the name of that person that was found in the water. And then they again issued another press release a day later, confirming their initial finding. And keep in mind that when Stacy was found in the river, we were 2 weeks into the biggest death investigation in the province, in the history of this province of Ontario. 7 youth inquest was taking place at the same time, or 2 weeks after the start of that inquest when Stacy was found. So you would think that the Thunder Bay Police the chief would be mindful of what was being said at that conference or at that inquest. The lack of proper police investigations into these cases. That he would have paid special attention to this case. But that didn't happen. And if the facts are true as they are laid out in this report, and you will get a chance to read the report, the full report, right after this, you will see those glaring mistakes and those racist assumptions that the police made right from the beginning. And we all know that accountability starts from the top, and that's the police chief. And we also know that there are other investigations take place right now. That if this report and the findings of this report does not make him go, does he want to wait 2 more months until that other report comes out? And we know that based on the evidence that's been given to these investigators, the testimony that we've heard from our community members, that report will be even more damning than this one. So if I were Chief Levesque, I would seriously think about planning my strategy to leave the police service. Because it's very clear that he has failed again with this case, this family and the community. And we know, sadly, as has been said here before, that this is not just the one case. There's been a disturbing pattern that we've seen in the city over the last, I would say 20 years, or even going back to 30 years. And nothing has changed. And I think the resignation of this police chief would be a start, but only a start. We are calling on the Police Services Board to totally overhaul how policing is delivered in the city. That it has to be seen that it serves everyone in this community, including our young people that come out to high school here in Thunder Bay. That everyone deserves the same level of policing and the protection that this police service should be given. And so we call on the board to look at this report today, to learn from this report, and to take action. So again, miigwech all for being here.
Thank you, Grand Chief.